I'm Ellen Kreth. I'm the publisher of the Madison County Record, and today we are doing debates with our school board candidates. And we have two here today that are going to briefly introduce themselves. But before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that we extended an invitation to Mr. Terry Forsyth. We regret we never heard from him, so he is in the race, but he is not participating today. The race will be decided on May the 24th. At the primary. This is not one that goes into November, so when the voters go to the polls on May the 24th, they decide the school board and the new members take over in June. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves. We'll go in alphabetical order. So you may start. Just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and maybe why you're running, and then we'll jump into questions after Ben.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bobby Ray Gullidge. I'm 60 years old. I'm a 12-year student of St. Paul schools, graduated. Had 3 sons graduate there and got grandchildren on the way. The reason I'd like to run for school boards is because since I started in school in 68 and I finished in 80, and since 1980, I've been involved one way or another throughout benefit pie suppers. I started a technical schools trade program scholarship 2 years ago over at St. Paul. Last year, I was able to raise $750, which don't sound like a lot, but if you got a kid going to college, that's a lot of hamburgers or whatever it mom and dad did out there. But my heart's just into the school system, not just St. Paul, Huntsville. I mean, if you're into one, you're into the other. Before they was consolidated, we're tied together as communities. But other than just hoping for the best for the future students, that's why I'm running. I'm not running this on anything harsh that's happened in the past. I would like to see nothing harsh happens in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Benjamin Reitzel. I have been in Madison County since I was 2 years old. Started school here. I have 4 kids, hopefully 5 in the fall will be in school if we can get the last one potty trained. I'm running because my kids are in sports and they want to continue to do stuff in the school, and I try to take an active part in their education. They come home with issues, we help try to resolve it or anything like that. And
that sounds good. Okay. Well, let's just jump into the first question. And since Bobby Ray introduced himself first, Ben, this question will go to you, and then you may answer after. What are your thoughts on the district's growth as far as numbers and diversity? It has grown in the past a few years. What ideas do you have for managing that growth?
don't know if I have a great answer for that one. That's something that I have to, once we get into the school board as a group, really look into how we can manage that. Off the cuff, I don't know if I would have a good solid answer for that one, other than we'd have to look at what we can do upon that growing of students. I know we need improvements at all of our sites. I know there's one person who talked about how they wish that the middle school itself had better ways to get around. I guess a lot of kids get wet, like during the rains, going from class to class. So look at maybe somehow looking at improving that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Can I
All right.
repeat the question,
You
please?
bet. What are your thoughts on the district's growth in numbers and diversity, and what ideas do you have for managing that growth?
Okay. Well, there's no doubt the district's growing, and it's going to continue to grow. The town and suburbs, they can only take so much. They're hunting the countries. As far as my ideals on growth, you just have to go with what you're allowed to go with financial wise to start with. If it takes more money, then there's gonna have to be more ways to find more money, whether it's through whatever's chosen to be elected on to pursue, as far as millages and such. But there's no doubt that both schools are gonna have to look at expanding.
Okay. Do you wanna do this one?
Sure. The school board has an optics problem with regards to transparency. Prior to meetings, board members eat together in the conference room. Many community members believe that isn't transparent. Board business could be discussed. If elected, would you commit to eating your meal in the open boardroom in front of the public rather than behind closed doors? And you'll get to answer first.
I would much rather eat with the public. I do not think it's right for them to be eating all together as board members. There's too many opportunities for things to go sour. If there's a sour apple in the bushel, they're all going to get sour eventually. Everything needs to be open. What can be open needs to be open. What can't be discussed needs to be discussed. Like Ben would probably agree, if you've got your lawyers sitting there stating, we cannot discuss this. I recently pulled that out of this last week's paper of y'all's, and that was great. I think that might have been Ben that even mentioned that. If it wasn't, whoever it was, that's exactly what I feel.
Thank you.
Same question for you.
Yeah, a lot along the lines of what he said. And that's one thing that I know has been kind of a stumbling block for some people. They talk about how the board meetings themselves are only about 45 minutes, and there's not a lot of discussion on some of it. And those dinners that they have are closed. No one else is in there. I mean, I don't know if they refuse to allow people in there or not. I don't know. But we don't know what's going on in there. They're more than welcome to sit and have dinner with each other. There's nothing wrong with that. But if there's any sort of school board things that are discussed there, that's not the public. There's no video of it. And as we've learned over the past with the transparency, that nothing that the school board does should be out of the ear side or visual side of the public.
Okay. Ben, this will be your question first then. In the past, the school board has lost some of the public's trust over some things that have happened this year with the Title IX case and transparency. What would you do? What do you personally plan to do to restore the public's trust in the school board and the school district?
I don't think it's a secret that I have been, I don't want to say openly opposed to the board. I've been openly opposed to a lot of the decisions they have made in the past. I did have my FOIA case against the school board. And just to clarify for anyone, because I have had this question in the past about my lawsuit, that I asked for no money and received no money for that. All I wanted was training. And so with that, I think the training, especially with FOIA, is super, super important. And we cannot in any way look as if we're pushing anything off to the sides. And that's where I've seen a lot of times in the newspaper where the school board is talking, the current board is talking how, they did the best they could, and right now they're being as humanly transparent as possible. That is true. They are. Like they said, I think where a lot of people get confused is what people were upset about the most, I think, and I believe I talked to Jamie about this as well, is once it came out in the open, it looked as if they had been trying to keep it a secret beforehand. And now it's out in the public. Yeah, they're being open. They're saying what they can. I don't fault them for that. The problem lies in the fact that they tried to keep things a secret before it came out, which transparency. I'm sorry if it hurts people's feelings, but this is our children and they all need to be protected.
Repeat
Can I
the
repeat
question?
that, please?
Yes. During the past year, some things have happened, including the Title IX and transparency issues that have hurt the public's trust in the school. So what would you do personally what do you plan to do personally to restore the public's trust in the school board and the district?
Well, like I said earlier, if I'm appointed on the school board, if there's open meetings, there's open meetings, and like being here says, there needs to be more time. Back when I was a kid, I'd go to school board meetings with my parents. A lot of times they was concerned about an issue. There was never time for my parents at school board meetings back in the day. If there was, it was so little time, you couldn't get your point across. So one thing for sure, school board meetings, like I say, if they're scheduled for an hour, is that for the school board members or is that for everybody? If it's just for members, they need that hour, I'm sure. Give the public another hour. Can we not have 1 hour out of your life, you know? You gotta let the public be involved.
Well,
I'm involved in St. Paul schools now, uninvited, but I've never been asked to leave.
That's a really great segue, and you'll be the first to answer this question.
it goes right along with that.
And it goes,
answer.
yeah. So how can you get more people to attend the board meetings and contribute if you don't allow them to speak? Will you commit to having public discussions again?
Yes, I would definitely commit to having public discussions again. I think it ought to be a priority. Your publics, your students, parents, your grandfolks, the public needs involved.
Same question for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I understand there's logistics involved. There's not gonna be, 100 people able to come talk to every school board meeting, but I think one of the issues we face right now is that the school board meets in such a small room that is taken up mostly by all the administrative staff. I mean, for anyone who's ever been in there, for those more meetings, you have 1 row of chairs along the back and that's it. And that's just not enough room. And if you need to get in and out, people are having to stand up, there's just not room. I think and I think another candidate also said this, hold them one in a larger area. I understand they have that spot set up. I'm assuming that's what that room was set up for, but it's just like goes back to the previous question. It's growing. Huntsville's growing. We got to grow with it. And I totally support the public being there, talking, asking questions. I mean, I've come up with ideas on ways we can manage people asking questions, whether it be a sign-up sheet and we say, if we get to it, this is your time limit. You shouldn't have to email them a week ahead. I mean, and I've said this and it may not come across the way I think it does, but it's almost as if Miss Kimball is almost the secretary. You have to ask her. She takes it to the board. I mean, she's got a lot on her plate. And I've even told my kids that she's one of the best people I've ever seen run this school. That's why I was glad when Mr. Ferguson was called as the assistant superintendent. I can't think of 2 better people to be running the school district. And so, in my opinion, they need to open it up. There needs to be more time. I mean, whenever people stand up and have a question, they always just call to adjourn and leave because they're not on the agenda, which doesn't help.
So both of you mentioned spacing and having arenas to do that in. So this is just a quick follow-up, and both of you can answer. Doesn't really matter which order.
Okay.
The school has, in the past, pre-COVID, done a holiday dinner for the board at the intermediate cafeteria. They also do one annual meeting at St. Paul. Your zone is in St. Paul. Do you guys have thoughts about expanding the rotation of where the school board meetings are held? They're all currently held in the boardroom with the exception of the annual meeting at St. Paul, but that's only one for your zone. So thoughts on that?
I think it should be equal. It ain't like, I don't want to burn the gas, guys, but we're equal. We're small, yes, but we're still human beings.
Yeah.
And give them a chance. because a lot of them will not drive over here for them meetings, where a lot of them come out of them hills, I'm sure, to come down there and listen, maybe add some insights.
Yeah, I mean, equal. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't go to St. Paul. You know, I've lived in Huntsville, just outside Huntsville most of my life, but I live out in Whittier. So I'm almost just far from Huntsville as I'm from St. Paul. So I guess it's easier for me to say it, but I mean, I was one of the ones that we started a scout troop down there when I was a kid. That's my connection to St. Paul. But I mean, I don't know why. I mean, we held it, I believe, in the library down there, 3 times the size or twice the size of the room they'll hold in now. And I mean, there's tons of room.
We got lots of room.
We got a gymnasium.
We got 2.
I don't see why we can't. Huntsville is not the only school in the district.
So, and that is a follow-up question. Do you feel like St. Paul is given the attention that it needs and deserves?
I'll go first on that. I really believe they have. I mean, when we first got consolidated, like I said, guys, born in 1961, started school there in 68 and graduated. But when they started talking consolidation, it was just this, all over that area. Nobody wanted it, including me, including my parents, which are deceased now. But I'm here to tell you, it's been a blessing for St. Paul. When Huntsville, you might as well say, took over St. Paul schools, in my eyes, it was a blessing. Everywhere you looked over was money being spent on that place. I don't care if it was a sign on a gym or new books in the library, we was getting money because of the consolidation. Now, I'm not book smart enough right now to tell you where that money come from, whether it's from school funds or whether it's government doing this, but to me, it helped St. Paul. My only gripe is Huntsville Public Schools on the side of the bus. Give St. Paul credit. I mean, don't just throw us off the bus. Some of those buses still have St. Paul schools on them, but most of them just first thing, Huntsville Public Schools. To me, it's still St. Paul Public Schools over there, where you're still Huntsville Public Schools over here. We're just a sister school.
Okay. Ben?
I'd have to divert to what he said because I'm not an expert on St. Paul. So I'm if they feel that they're getting a fair shake, then.
Boys, I'd tell you the other way if I thought it was the other way.
All right. Okay, so this is a question about the Title IX that happened in the school last year. What have you learned from what you saw or read about the Title IX conversations that you think the board and the community should do differently in the future? And we'll start with you. What should the board and the community have done differently concerning the Title IX investigations?
That's a hard one because as the public, we're not privy to everything the board is privy to. Now, I've talked about my lawsuit, so I do know a little bit more than what all the public does know. Not like I know a bunch of secrets, but that's something that I don't think any of us in the public can really say we could do differently. I do know that the public and myself did not agree with and I say this every time, I hate the word punishment because it's such a negative connotation, but the repercussions for the things that took place, I don't think that was taken seriously. I think the school board throwing out some of the repercussions for some students and diminishing it for others was short-sighted. I don't feel that they gave it the proper respect that it needed. There was more that needed to be done, and I don't think that they had the willingness to do so.
Okay. Would you like me to repeat the question? Or?
No,
Okay.
I understand the question, but understand me when I say I'm not educated enough on it right now. The biggest part of the education I got out of this was reading and listening to the man sitting beside me, Ben. And I admire his courage and all that, Ben.
Okay.
That's all to say on that. I just don't know until it's investigated more and brought out.
That's very nice.
That is very
Thank
nice.
you.
Okay, so this one is, these two are tied together. It's about teachers. I'm gonna ask you a question, give you a chance to kind of answer it, and then Ellen will ask you another question about it, okay?
Okay.
So this year, and this is from the Huntsville campus, but it happens at it happens at St. Paul campus too, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But my son's Spanish class ended at Christmas break, and it left the students in that class having to choose another path entirely, like by switching to another class, or transition to an online Spanish class. How can we recruit teachers to come to Huntsville and stay so classes won't have to be taught online or transition to that mid-year, so that they can, have even?
I know people have talked about how like Bella Vista and Bentonville, they have a higher starting salary than Huntsville. Whereas we as Huntsville want to be as competitive in pay as possible. This is a small county. We are growing. We're not going to be able to elect a whole new school board and raise everyone's salaries to match the rest of the Northwest Arkansas. It's just probably not possible. But that's where we as a school board need to talk with teachers. I don't feel that teachers are ever consulted enough because they are the ones on the front line. School board, we're not. We're not in the schools, we're not dealing with the kids. We don't know what it's like. I know what it's like for my kids, and I have to remind my kids a lot where they talk about, well, this teacher, she was punky to me today or whatever. Like, you have to remember, they're dealing with what, 700, 800, 900 kids, 1,000 on a daily basis. And I think everyone would agree that kids aren't always the nicest. So when you're dealing, and same with law enforcement, you deal with punky people, you tend to get a little gruffer. And so I think we really need to depend on, to talk to our teachers and see, tell them we can't do this, what would be fair to you? Let's meet in the middle. We can't, jack up your salary $12,000 more. How about, would $2,000 suffice? And we'll work on, that's where we just need to work with teachers and find out what they feel is fair and go from there and see where we can meet in the middle.
I'd like a repeat on that, please.
Okay, so this year, a Spanish class ended at the end of Christmas break, and it left many of the students having to choose a different path entirely, like switch out of the foreign language into another class, or to transition to the class being taught online. How can we recruit teachers to come to Huntsville and stay so that our classes and our students don't have that mid-year transition?
Like I said, the pay is the main thing I figure. But there's more than money that does want people to stay once they get in a place. If you come in here and you love the atmosphere and everything, there's more than money that's wanting to tug you to stay here. Besides giving them a fair and equal pay, I figure the board could be more involved by starting like maybe a teacher's watch. That's where teachers watch each other. When you're doing a great job, y'all let that board know. Y'all get together and let the board know, don't let her get away, don't let him get away. Other teachers, students recognize good teachers, but other teachers sure do, surely. So if they do, fight for them to stay here one way or another. And like I say, it's more than money that can keep them here. There's a lot wanting to keep them here. This negative Title IX that we're dealing with presently, that will go away. That shouldn't be nothing to keep people wanting to get out of this town or out of this county. Like I say, one bad apple or two. Thank you.
Okay, this is about St. Paul in particular, but currently the CTE building in St. Paul, it's not being used. And it's because they can't find a qualified teacher to teach the course. So what would you do as a board member to help recruit teachers to go into places like St. Paul and utilize the CTE building and teach the courses it was built to be taught?
When they first built that building, it was such an excitement to me to hear we was going to get that. In 1980, like I said, I graduated. In 1982, I graduated from Vocational Technical School in Ozark, auto body and painting. I never used that after graduating as far as my everyday money. But it was a trade I'd love to learn, and to this day, if I decided you want me to paint your truck, I can paint your truck. It was something I learned, and to me, it was just right out of school into the next one. I was still in school, you know. So if we can get something going in them buildings, it'd be such a blessing. Like I said, the little scholarship last year went to a little girl. Her last name was Cousins, lives over in the Ball Creek area. And I didn't go to graduation that night. People said, you ought to go, you did this. I said, just something about it, I just can't go. I was embarrassed. It only raised $750, but it was a solo effort. And this year I'm gonna make a difference in someone this year.
I would just like to point out for a minute that you made a difference with the $750. And I think anyone that is in this community and anyone that served on this board, past or present or future, would say the same, in agreement.
That's a lot.
It took a lot of little tomato plants and flowers and little antiques and this and that, you know. But any dime profit, if I go to town and buy a $5 plant and sell it for $6, that dollar went back there. I can't afford to put everything I'm making in, but I'll promise you, I don't hold out for gas or nothing. But anything I do, as far as anything I sell, any dime's profit goes there. I'll go to other places for my profits. I go to Canton, Texas with antiques. I sell old antique toys and such. But when I'm in St. Paul, it's all about the school.
Well, I think you did make a difference, so
Well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
that.
Bless whoever spread that.
Ben, I can repeat the question?
Yes, please do.
You bet. Currently, the CTE building in St. Paul is not being utilized because the district can't find a qualified teacher. How can you ensure that the school will offer all the programs it promises, and how can the school go about hiring the qualified teachers to teach in the St. Paul buildings?
Well, first off, I would see where all they're looking. I know there's a lot of people around here. This is a huge farming community. There's a lot of people around here that would probably be interested in looking into that. Maybe it's something we should advertise and see, and if they're not certified or whatever it requires, look at, kind of like our superintendent now, not fully certified, but getting there,
She is, for the record,
she is now,
did get her
good.
certification
So,
about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
okay, well, that could work the same way here. It may not be 100% qualified, but you know what? Let's see what we have in our community. Because I know there are a lot of people around here who are interested in helping people out, who need that avenue. May not, there are people like with me, I didn't know how I could help. I just got out there and started doing what I could. And that's what we just need to do. Let people know what help we need. Be like, well, this is the position we need. Are you willing to take this step to do this? And see. I know my father, who, lives out there at Witter, his name is Jack, and my grandparents named him right because he can fix just about anything. It makes me sick because I try to fix something and it don't work. I call him, he walks over, and it works. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
We got tons of people around here that can do that. So my first step would be, is if we need to get that filled, is see who we have here to bring to that position instead of outsourcing.
I would like to think that he's right. In our county, there's 2 people that fill a job that's needing over there.
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe that.
Okay, I think you said it right. This Title IX situation will eventually end.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, besides the Title IX issues and the transparency issues, which the school is working on, what are the top concerns for you that the board needs to address? Top concerns in the school, other than Title IX and transparency. What does the board need to address?
my part on it's actually just the school and its grounds itself. You know, say the old gymnasium over there. When I was a kid, every sidewalk in front of that had everyone's name they graduated out of there. Now they're gone now, I ain't saying replace them, but there's still a lot of people alive that's got fond memories of that old gym. I don't know if it's leaking now, but if it gets ready for a leak again, let's fix it, you know? Just don't let it get to a point it did here several years ago before Huntsville took it over. They had condemned the gym. You couldn't go near it. They boxed up all the windows. And that's another thing, they've got plywood over them beautiful windows. I think it needs to come off. But just upkeep of the system. Don't, if it's looking bad, it looks bad. If them old signs, them old saint signs or evil signs are getting faded, replace them. Have pride in your school.
That's good.
That is. And right along with that, we have to have pride. I mean, I know something I've seen going around are the stairs going to the middle school. People are very interested in seeing what, you know, can be done about those. And like he's talking about, they got the names of the people that are on there. I don't have the right answer of what we need to do to fix that. Be it, you know, another sidewalk next to it. I'm sure there's some way we can save. We got tons of smart people out there that, you know, work concrete. There's ways we can find out how to save that, because I know even my son who walks down from there, we tell him if it's rained, you're not walking down the hill. If it's rained at all today, we're driving up the hill to get you, because the kids will avoid the sidewalk that's made to walk on and take the grass because it's safer. And there was a lady who lives over there who actually took a video of the sidewalk showing all the, of course it was when it snowed, but showed all the cracks and broken parts of the sidewalk. It's just, it's not safe. And that goes along with, we have to take pride. These schools are for the starting of our children's educational career. And I tell my kids it's educational career, because my son and daughter talk about when we graduate. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to go to college, that's another 2 to 4 to 6 years to 8 years, depending on what you want to do. I mean, it's a long time before you're fully out of school, you know. And if they have a negative start with, well, this crummy school that's falling apart, if they feel that about it, they're not going to be interested in furthering that. So I know, you know, I worked for the city of Fayetteville for a long time, and that was one of their big things was, you know, clean it, fix it. Well, don't work. No reason why it can't look nice. Because when we have tours come in, that's what they're going to look at, is how we take care of it. And if it's falling apart, boarded up, people aren't going to care as much. You show them to like it.
It goes back to Bobby Ray's point about there's more than just the salary that keeps our staff there. So with that, what research or conversations have you already had or done, or do you plan to learn what the issues are in the district? What else can you do to learn what maybe your constituents' issues are within the districts? And I'll let you start, Ben, and then Bobby Ray, I'll repeat that, because I know you guys are both so good at the conversation, we get lost in it. So we'll start with you, Ben.
I know I go a lot on social media. I'm not a big social media person, but my wife even pointed out I'm on there a lot more lately. That's because I'm trying to find out, and I've even put out there, you know, if you have questions, concerns, come to me. I've had people message me privately, you know, with issues. And, you know, that's what I say, well, if I can get in there, work on fixing it. You know, we need, you know, give me a list of stuff. You know, we need to go to the public, and that's what I've been trying to do, going out on social media, being as out there as I can be to find out, you know, what are the problems here, what are the problems there. And I know a lot of the things that I've come up, like the stairs, the rain, you know, for the middle school, the kids getting wet, you know, those are all from people who live here. You know, that's not my ideas, that's ideas that they've come up with. Now I've known about the stairs for a long time, but we have to go out to the public. We have to, you know, find out what issues are the parents are having, you know, what you need fixed or what would make your child's day better. That's what we need, that's where we need to focus it.
Bobby Ray?
Yes.
What research or conversations have you already done or had, or how do you plan to learn what issues are in the district? Like for your constituents, how do you plan to learn what they think the issues are?
I just try and stay involved, and that way you can see and hear it. And like Ben says, as far as on the pushing the buttons, I'm definitely on the buttons here lately, and it is a sight. But I'm sorry, can you go back on that?
Yeah, I just really just how do you plan to learn from your constituents what their issues are, the community's issues?
Right. Okay. Well, like I say, the main thing is just to watch and listen. And if there's things that need to be addressed as far as to help improve it, I'm definitely going to listen to you. It might not be something I agree with, it might not be something the board agrees with, but I will give you time of day to listen to what you have to say. Whether we're talking about school issues or your next fishing trip, I like to listen.
Okay, and this is the very last question, and Ben, we started with you. No, we started with you.
Yeah.
So, Bobby Ray, you'll go last, but Ben, we'll start with you'll get you'll get the first opportunity to answer the last question. How about that? And it's real simple. Why should someone vote for you?
That's a hard one to answer because Bobby's had great ideas. Everyone who's running, they have their own ideas and they have their own, and I don't think there's a person of the new people that are running that I have ever disagreed with anything they've said. So that one truthfully is a hard one to answer, other than the fact that, my heart is in it. I'm very active. My kids will even say sometimes too active. And if they have a bad day at school, I'm on emailing teachers, figuring out how can we get this fixed or whatever. Kids, if their grades are down, I'm trying to find out where the issue lies. As for voting for me, I have been fighting for, and I hate to go back to this because, like you said, the whole Title IX thing, that's going to go away, and that's not what this race is about. It's about the kids, and that's the way it should be. But I have been, in the past year and a half, right in the thick of it, trying to make a positive change. So I would say vote for me just because of the fact that I've been fighting it, I've been up front, and I have been as honest and everything as I can be. I post, if I make a mistake, and I have a post out there now with the whole sign deal, where I flat out say I was one of the ones, I fixed it. I went through and I fixed the issue we had, and I own my mistake. I didn't try to fix it and go about it. I put it out there. I blatantly showed everyone I made a mistake. We're all people, it's gonna happen. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I will make the decision I feel is right, regardless of the outcome.
Same question for you, Bobby Ray.
Okay, I guess I just love St. Paul and Huntsville and Madison County. These folks, I had good folks that taught me to be this way. Until someone does you wrong, you have to be that way. I've had folks do me wrong, I've overlooked, but just main thing is just I love our schools. I want best for the kids, grandkids, your grandkids, just the kids. That's all. Just my passion.
Well, thank you both very much
Thank
for coming today.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. We appreciate your time. I think that your zone will be well served regardless of the outcome of this election because you have heart for what you're doing, and I think that comes across. So
And
thank
it's
you.
very nice to see two candidates
Thank
get
you.
along and discuss
Oh
the issues.
yeah,
so
me
much.
and Ben get along. I don't care who wins this.
That's right.
I do want to put it this way though. I know the other candidates. I'm not gonna slam no one. I'm not getting dirty at all. But I'll tell you what, if you can't vote for me over, vote for Mr. Ben.
All
So I
right.
say the same.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you.
And thank you for the cup.